There's been a lot of talk about whether or not Hamilton's going to retire after last season. Fans, commentators, and drivers have all had their say. Could Lewis finally be calling it quits? With Verstappen on the rise and Mercedes under threat, it might be a good time to call it a day. We're going to break down all the rumors and tell you why he might be stepping away from Formula One, so don't go anywhere. First up, paddock talk. McLaren team boss Zak Brown made some stunning statements about Lewis Hamilton's 2022 season. He said that he wouldn't be shocked if Hamilton didn't return for this year's season. Brown said that he thinks everyone should acknowledge how angry Hamilton might be after the controversial end to last season that saw Hamilton's 8th World Championship slip through his fingers. What do the drivers think? Max Verstappen, who snatched the title from Lewis with less than 2 minutes to go in the final race, said that he's sure that Hamilton will return for the 2022 season. Ferrari driver Carlos Sainz says that he hopes that Lewis doesn't retire, as he's one of the best in history, and it's an honor for him to race with him. Lewis didn't post anything on any of his social media accounts for more than a month after the title-deciding race, which led to a lot of speculation. But his brother assured fans that Lewis was taking a break from social media. Some articles even pointed to the change in betting odds away from Hamilton and in favor of Verstappen as evidence of a possible Hamilton retirement. The odds changed immediately after the finale. Lewis chose not to attend the FIA's end-of-season prize-giving ceremony, which teams who finish in the top 3 are required to attend, and he didn't respond to messages from the new Formula One president Mohammed bin Sulayem either. Things have still not been resolved either. There are still the results of an FIA investigation to be released on the 18th of March, 2 days before the season starts. If he's not satisfied with the FIA's actions following Abu Dhabi, Lewis might consider retiring to take a stand. How did Abu Dhabi affect Lewis? The 2021 season ended in one of the biggest controversies the sport has ever seen. Lewis Hamilton could almost touch his 8th World Championship before some late race drama. In a nutshell, the race director Michael Masi ordered only a few laps to unlap themselves, which was unusual and virtually guaranteed Max Verstappen the win. Masi was criticized for seemingly reacting to pressure from Red Bull. In the audio that was not publicly broadcast, Lewis can be heard voicing his feeling that the race had been manipulated. Aston Martin driver Lance Stroll agreed. He said in an interview that he thought the Abu Dhabi ending was a manipulation of the rules. Former driver and F1 analyst Anthony Davidson empathized with Lewis and felt that Lewis had been robbed by the sudden change in rules. After 2 protests to the FIA were rejected, Mercedes withdrew an appeal to the International Court of Appeal. In a statement, the Mercedes team said that they were doing so because they had constructive talks with the FIA about investigating the controversial ending. In the meantime, Michael Masi was removed from his role as race director to be replaced by 2 alternating race directors in 2022. And Toto Wolff admitted that Lewis was still in shock weeks after the race. Former driver Karen Chaddock said that if Lewis were to retire, that it would be very damaging for Formula One. Chaddock, who is now an F1 commentator, said that it would send a message that the biggest name in the sport didn't trust the integrity of the FIA. This would be a big blow to an organization that is trying its best to move on from the incident. Which changes to the 2022 regulations could mean the end of the Mercedes era of dominance? And what would Lewis do after Formula One? Don't go anywhere to find out. Next, Max Verstappen's rising star. Could this be the passing of the torch to the next generation? Lewis Hamilton has been racing in Formula One for more than a decade and a half. Max's 2021 World Championship could be the beginning of a new generation of drivers. Other youngsters like Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, and George Russell look more than capable of keeping the quality of racing high for years to come. At the top of that group right now is Max Verstappen. Red Bull has just announced a new contract with Verstappen that will keep him in the team until 2028. The contract reportedly pays Verstappen $55 million, which is equal to what Hamilton gets from Mercedes. This is a big signal from Red Bull that they have long-term plans with the Dutchman. In 2020, Verstappen said that Lewis may be one of the best, but he's not God, and that given the same machinery, Verstappen could win comfortably. Max has been confident in his ability to end Hamilton's dominance for many years. Now, he finally did it. Verstappen will be coming into the 2022 season on a high. He just won the World Championship, and all the early signs say that Red Bull still has a competitive car. If he believed he could beat Lewis before, now he knows it. The ending of last season must have been emotionally draining for Lewis, but also throughout the season, the drama and incidents both on and off track would have been tiring. He may have had flashbacks of his time battling former teammates Nico Rosberg and Fernando Alonso. How many more years can he really do this for? Next, the end of Mercedes dominance. Why is the 2022 season one of the most exciting in recent history? There have been a range of new regulations that have come in to make racing more exciting. First of all, the technical regulations of the car are designed for closer racing, more overtaking, and more on-track action than ever before. During the first testing session, drivers already reported that cars were easier to follow because they were getting less dirty air. Car cars this year will be using more ground force, which means that the car grips to the track with air traveling under the car rather than over. If there is more downforce, then the cars will be cornering and maneuvering faster. Pushing the boundaries has caused most of the teams to have some issues with porpoising, where the cars were bobbing up and down when accelerating. Many of the team bosses have said that whichever team can solve this issue the quickest will have the advantage. The different aerodynamics of the 2022 F1 cars has led to a total redesign. The differences between the Williams side pod and the Mercedes side pod are huge. These bold designs have left teams guessing about their rivals' performance. It's not yet clear which teams will come out on top and if the old order is in for a shakeup. For Mercedes, the wind may be blowing in a different direction this year. They've enjoyed 8 years of consecutive Constructors' Championships, and last year was the only Drivers' Championship they lost in that period. Maybe it's time to give someone else a go, Mercedes. Moving on to other things. That's Sir Lewis to you. Lewis is a 7-time world champion and has had a huge impact on the sport over the last 15 years. This impact, his advocacy for the sport, and his contributions to the UK were recognized when he was knighted just after the new year. Lewis has a big life outside of Formula One. He has designed his own clothes for Tommy Hilfiger, is a voice of activism for animal rights, environmentalism, human rights, and anti-racism. Hamilton was included in the Times 2020 Top 100 Most Influential People in the World. Last year, the Hamilton Commission published a report about how diversity can be improved in motorsport. The report made several recommendations, which Hamilton's charity Mission 44 aims to achieve. Lewis himself has pledged £20 million towards the initiative, which shows how serious he is about it. Mission 44 is focused on working with young people and communities to tackle issues of diversity. He has other passions and projects that he would like to be involved in. In partnership with Mercedes, he's also launched a charity called Accelerate 25 with a similar mission statement. The focus is instead on helping to include more diverse students and teachers in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and maths fields. This kind of work would be more than enough to keep Lewis busy after his F1 retirement, so maybe he wants to get started on them earlier rather than later. Is Lewis Hamilton really going to retire this year? Does he still have some fight in him? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.